Hi, welcome back to PracticalStudent.com. Today for a change we're actually going to do three parts of this 2015 project. Parts 5, 6 and 7. 5 is the cross member, 6 is the bonnet bracket and 7 is the battery holder. The reason I'm doing all three of them is they're actually quite simple. There's pretty straightforward marking out, drill a couple of holes and then bend two of the pieces. This piece is probably going to take the longest because it's 4mm thick, so it's going to take a little bit more filing. There's no real issue with them. I'll have timestamps to the different sections on each one in the video, so I'm not going to do them all together at the same time. I'll do one, do another, do the last one, then 7. Okay, we'll start off then with part number 5. Okay, marking out part 5 isn't too difficult at all. It's a small little piece. This is already square. I'm going to use this bottom left hand corner as my datum to mark out. So we don't need the centre line, but we are told it does help us know that the whole thing is 66. And from the left edge we come in 5 to this hole, and from the right edge in 5. So 66 minus 5 is 61. So I'm going to mark from this left side 61 and 66. I'm also going to mark 5 from this edge, the left edge. I'm going to T-square those lines up. So everything to the right of the 66 is waste. And we'll be cutting that off with a hacksaw and then filing it down. Also, the piece is 12 high and these holes are at 6. Now it's really too thin to mark 6 here and then try and transfer it across. So I'm going to mark 6 and 12 on both sides and do it that way. So when I was cutting this, I did try to keep it as close as possible. So 6 and 12. Very close to the edge, which means less filing, which is good. I'm lining this up very carefully. We're not playing with a lot of metal. 6 and 12. So I'm just going to try and draw a line as accurately as possible between the 12s, and then everything above that will have to be filed off. And thankfully that is not a lot of metal there at all. So a tiny bit above the 12 to mark out. I'm going to drill holes here, 3.5mm at these 2 points. So I'm going to centre punch those. And that's part 5, the cross member, marked out. So on to drilling. This is the marking out of part number 6, the bonnet bracket. We actually need 2 of these. I'm just going to show you the marking out of one. The other one is the exact same. So just before I get started, I'm going to kind of add up these measurements that are helpful. We don't need to know the center line, its location, even though it's on the drawing. It's not important to marking out anything. So 7 plus 7 is 14, plus 8 is 22, plus 24 is 46, plus 8 is 54, plus 7 is 61, and then the last 7 makes 68 in total. This is just to help speed up with marking the thing out. I can now go along and mark all of those numbers, 7, 14, 22, etc. on the bottom here of my piece. I'm going to use this bottom left corner as my starting point and line everything up carefully and try and keep it there. So 7, 14, 22, then we're up to 46, 54, and 61, and finally 68. I'm going to T-square those all up. Now this 54 line is a bend line, so I'm going to just dash that because we do have a lot of lines here and it may get a bit confusing. Flip it around to the other side to do the other ones. And this 14 line is also a bend line. So again, I'm going to dash it to try and help clarify where different lines are. And that's the vertical lines done. Our holes are 8 up from the base, and the total of the height or the piece is 16 millimeters. So I'm going to mark 8 and 16 on both ends of the piece. 8 and 16. I'm going to do the same down here. And 16. I'll be able to join the 16s together to give me the top edge of the piece. And then everything outside of this line is waist, and everything outside of this line is waist. Now I'm going to line up the 8s, and I'm just going to cross it where it crosses these 4 points. I turn the piece around because I want more of my ruler on the piece, or as much of my ruler on the piece as possible. It's less likely to slip when there's more of it on it. So I'm going to mark here. And we're going to be drilling holes in those 4 locations, so I'm going to punch all of them. Okay, so we're going to be drilling 3.5 holes in all 4 of those locations. So that's what I'm going to get on to next. So I've set the bending machine to 90 degrees, and I'm bending these 2 pieces. You saw me marking out one, but I marked out the other one and drilled and shaped it as well. So I'm going to do both of them at the same time. No reason not to. It looks to be set up okay. 90 degrees. I'm going to flip them around now and set them up again and bend to the other side. There we go, both pieces bent. So here we are marking out part number 7, the battery holder clamp. Very simple piece. The hardest part of it is that it's small. If we look up the side here, we have 20 and 12. So I'm just going to mark those. 20 and then 12 more is 32. T-square those lines across. Everything above the 32 line is waste, and we'll be cutting that off later on. That's awkward. Now, so we have our 2 lines there. All of this is waste. Going to look at the width of our piece here now. It's 10 plus 10, 10 to the whole, and another 10. So I could measure 10 across here, and then I'd have to come down 6, but I've got an easier way of doing it. I'm just going to mark 20 across, T-square that line up. So I've lost where my 20 is. That one. Everything to the right of that is waste. Now, the reason I didn't bother measuring this, we can see this hole is in the center of this rectangle. It's 12 high, it's down 6. The whole thing is 20 across, it's in 10. There's an easy way to find the center of any rectangle. Join up the corners. See the corner lined up that way. I'm going to put a mark around the middle and join up the corners this way. The diagonals of any rectangle will intersect at the centre point. I'm going to be drilling a hole there, 3.5. So I'm just going to punch that. So I'll be able to drill this, use the guillotine to cut off the pieces, and then bend it at 80 degrees. So I've set the bending machine to 80 degrees, and we're just going to bend it on this line here. So clamp it in carefully. Always, as I say, try and be as accurate as possible here. And there we go. So there we go, that's the 3 pieces, well 4 pieces in actual fact, but 3 drawings done. We have our cross member to hold the 2 back bars going together. We'll see those being manufactured shortly. Again, nothing difficult there. Because these pieces are small, they can be kind of tricky to mark out, but again, just a bit of filing, but had to take a bit of time filing to get the edges nice and smooth and straight. These 2 parts, again, it's just because there's 2 of them that makes it hard. Try and be as accurate as possible. They do have to line up with other holes. They're going to attach like this to the front bonnet and the cab, and then attach to the bonnet. They're attaching to the bonnet over here, the front grille, and then the cab, so you do want them accurate. And then finally we have the battery holder. This, you may need to bend that a little bit later on. It kind of clamps the battery up against the side there, so that may need to be bent out a little bit. But other than that, nothing too complicated. I hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching, and we'll catch you for part 8, I think it's next. Yes, part 8. Bye.